What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, Drykage back at it again in Master Duel for the first time in forever. I'm not dropping one, but I'm dropping two different Master Duel ready lists for you. The first one is going to be new 2 focused, new 2 heavy, very inspired by our modern TCG builds. And the second one, for our perfection lovers out there, I'm going to show you what you can do, putting up to 7 to 8 to 9 negates with the end board as well. So if you're looking for consistency and resiliency through hand traps, list number 1 is going to be your guy. And if you're looking to put up that break your back out board, maybe you're going to like list number 2. Without further ado, let's check them out. Alright, my friends, here is list number 1, the new 2-centric pure DRYTRON build, and you will notice that it very closely resembles our TCG builds from nowadays. Why is that? Because, well, there's a lot of players on the Master Duel who enjoy playing those hand traps. So what do we want to do to beat those hand traps? We're playing a new 2 build. Heavy DRYTRON names. Heavy consistency, and this is the way we do it. So what do we got going on here? 3 of every single name that is good and worth playing. Triple Alpha, Gamma, Zeta, Delta, and our boy new 2 are all maxed out at 3 copies per deck. But since this is the Master Duel, we've also got triple copies of the Maximum C in here as well, corresponding with our triple copies of Ash Blossom. These Ash Blossoms are in the main mostly to counter the opponent's Max C, but it's also a potential hand trap that we could draw off of the Max C to slow down or stop our opponent. Now, mind you, I'm going to flag one thing before I continue on through the list. One thing I'm concerned about in Master Duel, and I've been warned that there are some FTK decks as we get through the higher ranks. So another potential hand trap option that you might want to play, and you could cut the Forbidden Droplets if you want to stop FTK type decks, would be the Droll in Lockbird. Oh, we hate it. We hate to see it. We hate getting drolled. But if you want to be ready for it, having the Droll and Lockboard in our main deck is another good potential way of playing around those FTK decks. Moving on, though, through the list, we got those triple maxis, and then I'm doing 2 copies of Diviner and 2 copies of Cyber Angel Bent, and I'll show you can cut down this deck to 40 cards if you really wanted it to be 40 at the tail end. Triple Ash, we already talked about that. 1 copy of the Ursartron, our powerful extender in that pure DRYTRON build. Oftentimes, you'll be searching it off of new 2, grabbing yourself either a Fafnir or a Nova, depending what you have yet to have yet. It's also an additional means of bridging into your Medionis if they stop your Diviner or your Zeta, right? So that's another way to get into the Medionis in case they stop you there. Moving on, we've got our friend Vanity's Ruler. Now, Vanity's Ruler, like I said, this is a resilient through hand traps kind of build. So if we're eating a lot of hand traps, we still have a Ben 10 that we can resolve. We're going to use our Ben 10 to search off that Vanity's Ruler, stick them on the end board. A lot of times you'll find yourself doing that if you get hit with 2 to 3 hand traps. This might be the best backup option that you have, and not many decks are going to be able to play around it, especially if you see them redeem an Imperm. If they already spent the Imperm, it makes a lot of sense to slap down that Vanity's Ruler. It's going to feel real good when you do it. Ritual lineup, very condensed. We've got 2 copies of Ben 10, 1 Draco Nids, and 1 Dad. Big Daddy Draco Nids is bing chilling out here in Master Duel with our friend new 2. For the first time in forever, you can play these cards in this alternate format. Now, again, I'm not a huge Master Duel fan. I'm not a huge Master Duel player, but when they release these cards in the format, you know I had to come on in here and give it a shot for myself. Spell cards, we got the 1 copy of Foolish, triple Cyber Emergency, triple Nova, and 2 copies of the Fafnir. I'm going to flag for you right now. I'm not a fan of the Jack in the Hand. I know people are saying do 2-in-1 when it comes to Emergency and Jack in the Hand. I don't really love giving my opponent a free card or leaving the choice up to them, per se. I don't think it's worth it to have that differentiated name that's not a duplicative copy of a hard once per turn card. I'd rather just play the triple Cyber Emergency for consistency purposes, but if you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. Also got 2 copies of the Fafnir. Now, don't forget, guys, Nova and Fafnir are theoretically 1-card combos. That's right, you can bridge off into the new 2. Check out the DRYTRON 101 playlist. You'll find that 1-card combo in there from a few months back. Moving on, the 1 copy of Medionis, you need not play any more than 1. 1 is all you need. 2 copies of Call by the Grave and the 1 Crossout Designator. Now, of course, Crossout, the main thing we want to negate with it is the Maxi, but most decks are playing Maxi and Ash, so they do have the potential to knock out both of those cards. Maybe even potentially a Forbidden Droplets if it comes up. And speaking of, that is our final card of the main deck, is triple copies of Forbidden Droplets. Why? DRYTRON plays Forbidden Droplets better than any other deck, but like I said at the start, if you wanted to be more resilient through FTK decks, you could swap this out for the Droll in Lockbird that gives you a hand trap you could draw off of the Maxi to stop something like Gimmick Puppet from hitting you with something degenerate. There's a lot of decks out there that can just combo on forever, so if you really want to stop them in their tracks, Droll and Lockbird might be your best friend. But the main deck, as you can see, is at 45 cards, but I'll show you how to cut it down to 40 after we go through the extra deck, where we've got our diviner topics. Our diviner targets being Entis and the Herald. I'm also pairing it with a lot of the same things we use in our TCG build, being Black Rose Dragon, the mighty F.A. Dawn Dragster, 1 copy of the Fuko, you know what we like to call her, as well as 2 copies of Moy Beta, a Downard, and a Zeus for those big PP Zeus plays. Now, again, if you're getting hit with the Droll or the Maxi and you don't want to play into it too hard, you can't stick with Vanity's Ruler very easily. Again, if you hard open Ben 10 or you're starting off with Alpha and Name and you get hit with the Maxi, it's sometimes worth it to climb into the Vanity's Ruler, but if not, you can also always go for the Fuko Pass, Suck My You-Know-What, and that may buy you the amount of time that you need. And again, it is our Droll backup plan as well. Moving on through the Link monsters, Anima. I'm choosing to go for the Anima to punish those bad players instead of playing the Link Haribo, but of course, Link Haribo is legal in the Master Duel, so if you want to get those draws off of our next card, the Nightmare Phoenix, maybe Link Haribo might be the target for you. We also have the IP and the SP, her honestly equivocal in value cousin in this format, so we got 1 and 1. Also got Dynamondo, big time important, because again, we're going to be tagging her out to summon back Dad for monster effect negate and destroy 3 and 4 on our end boards. And finally, we have got our friend Access Code Talker for closing out games and for that important spot removal. There's a lot of things that I've yet to encounter or expect inside Master Duel. I think playing Access Code is a very safe bet, but if you disagree or think we should switch back to Boral Sword, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, the last thing I'm going to do on this list before we move on to the next one is I'm going to show you what you can do to cut this list down to 40 cards if you really wanted to. And I'm going to tell you it's not that hard. We're going to take out 1 Ben 10, 1 Diviner. Look at that. We've only got 3 slots left. I would likely cut my names back down to 2 Delta, 2 Gamma, are theoretically more low impact names. And then finally, I would cut our 1 copy of Fafnir, or if you don't want to lose that 1 card combo access, I would consider cutting a Cyber Emergency as well. But that brings us down to 40 cards. Not my preferred way to play it, but it is a potential option. Now, let's move on to my friends who love the fairies and love to negate stuff. Let's check out a Herald of Perfection build. So for my friends who are a little bit more perfection inclined, this might be the build for you. We are playing Herald of Perfection DRYTRON in Master Duel, 42 card deck. Again, theoretically possible to cut it down to 40, but let me explain to you what we got going on here. We've got the 1 copy of Eva. I know it's at 3, but as I've said in the TCG, I wouldn't find myself playing any more than 1 because of our perfection. In the TCG, we also do have Beatrice banned, so that makes it even worse. Even still, Eva is a do-nothing card in hand on its own, and this build is already kind of bricky. It's a 2-card combo deck. You do have the option and the route for 1-card combos. With our Fafnir and our Nova, we are playing the 1 of Mewtwo in case it is the only card we saw. Be it a hand of Nova, double Ash, double Maxi, we would still be able to combo into IP plus Dad, which is a very powerful end board. But 1 Eva, back to the point where we started, 1 Eva is all you need, even in a perfection build on Master Duel. Moving on to our DRYTRON names, though, we got triple copies of Alpha, triple Zeta. We've cut it down to 2 Gamma, 2 Delta, and then the only 1 copy of Mewtwo. Why? Because more oftentimes than not, we are going to be ritual summoning out Ben 10 and or Herald of Perfection in this build. So obviously, Mewtwo conflicts with summoning those monsters, so we only need the 1 copy to have access to our 1-card combos, or for turns 2 and 3, when we need to outgrind our opponent, having just that 1 copy of Mewtwo will let us outgrind almost any opponent. Now, our fairies and hand traps, we got triple copies of the Orange Light, triple copies of the Maxi. I'm doing 2 Diviner. You definitely want to play 2 Diviner in any perfection-focused build because you need to have your targets to search for the Eva. Follow that up with triple copies of the Ash Blossom and the 1 copy of the Choju. That's what makes the perfection build superior to the ultimateness build, in my opinion, is the fact that Choju exists and we can do our Choju lines while playing through so resiliently or through a card like Nibiru, which I have seen a lot of Master Duel players choosing to play. So if you want to play Resilient through that, Choju and Perfection are going to be your best friends. Ultimateness, of course, you can still play through it, but it's a little bit trickier than when you get that free search for something as powerful as our Dawn of the Herald, giving us those free additional negates off of its add-back effect. Moving on, though, of course, we got the Natasha and the full lineup of Ben 10s, all 3 in this build, because we are ritual summoning out our fairies. We don't care. Natasha is oftentimes how we're going to clean out games when we're going second or on turn 2. 1 copy of Perfection, the 1 copy of Dad. I unfortunately don't have room for the Draconids in this build. Instead, our Dad is more so, like I said, access for that 1-card combo, or is that additional material that we could search to our hand to use for our ritual summons in case we don't have the materials necessary on field or in the hand. Spell cards, we got triple copies of the Emergency, triple copies of Nova, and the 1 copy of Fafnir. If you wanted to, you could beef it up and play a second copy of Fafnir if you really want to have access to those 1-card combos, but I'm not seeing that as necessary in this build. 1 copy of Dawn of the Herald, 1 copy of Meteonis Drytron, 2 copies of the Called by the Grave, Sacked by the Grave, and the 1 Mighty Crossout Designator. Now, in the extra deck, we've also got some changes in here as well. We're not playing any of our cool synchros like the Dawn Dragster or the Black Rose, but we are playing the Elder Entity Entis, the Herald of the Arclight, 1 copy of the Fuko, you know what we like to call her, 2 copies Moy Beta, 1 of the Beatrice, the Mighty Beatrice for those 1-name hands. We will choose to combo with them. We will choose to try and play with 1-name hands here because Beatrice is not only legal, but we are playing a perfection-based build here. Also got the 1 copy of Mighty Zeus to get those big send. 1 copy of Link Roibo in this build. Same deal. You can go for Anima, whichever one you prefer if you want to punish those bad players or you want to get your extra draws off of the Nightmare Phoenix. Follow it up with IP Masquerena. IP, dude, goes hard, goes crazy in this build because another card that we're playing is the Mighty Sprite Elf. So sometimes, this Sprite Elf, I'm going to say, very, very solid if you get impermed on a Diviner, and then you can turn it into a Sprite Elf. Oh, it's degenerate, it feels powerful, and then you can use the Sprite Elf to summon back the Diviner on the opponent's turn and get a free pop by sending the Entis from extra deck to graveyard. Just want to point out that play. It's been a while since we've done it in the TCG. 1 copy of Dynamundo for the same reason that we play in the other builds. Same thing goes for the SP Little Knight. We've got her expensive cousin and herself being chilling right here. Apolloso, we choose to play it in this build because a lot of times we're going for those big end boards filled with negates. We're going to have more materials that we can freely use off. We're not trying to line up our Spell and Trap negates with the Moy Beta as often as we are in the other build. So playing Apo makes a lot of sense. We're going to have more materials on the field to play with. So heck yeah, let's stick up that Apollosa for absolutely free. And then this one's a bit of a flex spot. You could choose to either go with the Boral Sword Dragon or the Access Code Talker. But since I like having access to those free pops, I think Access Code is the way to go. Alright everybody, that is going to be it for the Master Duel Drytron builds in 2025, post-New2, post-Dad, coming out. 2 different builds for you to give a shot. If you want to see gameplay with these lists, you got to smash over 150 likes on this video, and let me know in the comment section down below, and we will make that happen for you. But I'm going to round things out here. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you beautiful people later. Peace!